Welcome to my creative space. Today I'm going to show you guys how I take this to a nice little cake of yarn without having to deal with things like tangles and stuff that happens when you're trying to wind your skein of yarn into a cake. Because especially when you're a machine knitter, this is necessary. And so I see a lot of complaints from people, and I used to be one of those people complaining because my yarn would always get so tangled up when I would try to wind it into a cake. Unlike taking stuff off of a bobbin, which comes off perfectly and rolls into a cake, taking it off of one of these is a little bit tricky. Because if you pull from the middle, a lot of times, okay, the yarn collapses. The outside yarn collapses down, and that ends up getting tangled up because you always hear people say, just take it from the center. Well, that doesn't always work. And then, of course, if you take it from the outside, then you've got to deal with it like flipping and flopping all over the place. My dad made me this little skein holder, and you can buy these. And it holds the little skein yarn while I would crochet, which allowed me to pull it off pretty easy. And I didn't have to fool with, worrying about pulling it from the center and it maybe getting tangled up as the skein collapsed. Now, I've seen a lot of people say this doesn't work for them either. But here's the thing. To get this to work properly, because you're pulling it off pretty fast, you've got to put your fingers in the center and meet. Okay, your fingers have to meet without any kind of yarn in the way. Put this little rod through here. If anything gets tangled up on it, it's going to cause it not to spin well, and it's going to just get tangled up. So I like to make just a space inside the skein. And that way, and I keep one finger in, and then I put the rod through here, and it comes out the other side smoothly. If it does not come out smoothly, I take it out and I do it again. Now, I just place this in here, get it ready to wind. Now, I have trouble with mine winding. And if I'm not careful, if I start winding too fast, this flips out and then I don't have a center pull cake. And that's really obnoxious. There. So I always start off slow. And I want to make sure that this gets caught, because I see a lot of people complain about that too. Now you can see how perfect that's unwinding. It's smooth. No issues at all, because I did a little bit of work, a little bit of prep to ensure that the skein goes on here correctly and I don't just shove it in all tangled up. Okay, you can see I'm getting toward the end here. It's still smooth sailing. Now when it starts getting really down to the end pieces here, I do go a little bit slower. And I also want to make sure that this isn't going to be too loose, so I might hold it so it'll be a little tighter on the outside. And grab the center before I pull off. And I have the perfect little cake with no tangles. Now, okay, so this is sock yarn. It's a smaller skein, but I do this all the time with the bigger skeins too. You just have to do the same thing. Just feel inside. Make sure there's no tangles, and there's not. Put the rod in. I can feel the rod. No yarn in the way. and that's going to come off just as perfectly as that because I do it all the time. Now, if you have a big giant, like these jumbo skeins, they're a little bit harder. And I admit, you know, I mean, they're really tight. It's hard to get your fingers in them. Plus, my hand's not going to go all the way in there. So, center pull is best for these. But at the same time, once you get about halfway down, once the center is gone, you got to go really slow or you're going to get tangles, or you're highly likely to get tangles. So I'm just really more careful with that. This is definitely faster if I have a skein that I can get my fingers in to meet and just put it on very nicely like that, and I have a perfect little cake of yarn. I hope you find this tip helpful and it saves you from yarn tangle frustration, because we've all been there, we've all had it, it sucks. If this helps you avoid it, then I have done a good thing today. Y'all have a good one.